Russians are victoriously retreating from one of the neighborhoods close to Bakhmut, and believe it or not, Ukrainian special forces were able to successfully ambush Russian assault groups to the north of this settlement and make them run away. At the same time, Alexander Lukashenko stated the condition under which Belarus will join the war, and then we have President Zelensky talking about the near future of this conflict. But more about all of this in just a couple of minutes. What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. And let's go straight to the point and see some most recent footage. And to begin with, here we have the map of Europe, which shows how different countries support Ukraine. The biggest supporter is the country of Sweden, with approximately 97% of its residents approving Ukraine, and then we only have 3 European countries which support is below 50%, and these are Slovakia, Greece and Bulgaria. Feel free to pause the video, and if you're from one of these countries, please let us know if this statistics is accurate. Next we have a picture from France, where this country has already successfully trained the military personnel to use its tanks AMX-10RC, and it will send 14 of them to Ukraine. Then we have a picture of these balloons, which Russia was allegedly launching above Ukraine. And even though these balloons were pretty much worthless and were not doing anything significant, in fact, there was a military tactic behind them. And the reason for this, it is because on the radars they are displayed exactly as the drones. That is why Ukraine had to use their anti-aircraft defense system to intercept them. In addition to that, because of Ukraine launching the missiles, Russia was able to establish the approximate positions of these defense systems. And speaking about the Russian attacks, recently several Russian missiles, they unfortunately landed in Lviv and Kremenchuk, damaging critical energy infrastructure. In addition to that, several more missiles were sent against Dnipro region, and as a result of this, 7 residential buildings were destroyed and more than 50 were heavily damaged. It is estimated that Russia has launched a total of 32 missiles, and Ukraine was able to intercept 16 of them. In addition to that, recently Russia relies more and more on its fighter jets and helicopters to perform these attacks and also use them in the future massive offensive. But according to the British intelligence, Russia has a total of approximately 1500 aerial vehicles, but 30% of them they require critical maintenance. That is why, unfortunately, as of right now, Russia does have a superiority in the air, which only emphasizes the fact that Ukraine needs also to receive military planes. And ultimately, according to the Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council, Alexei Danilov, Russia is planning another mass attack on February 23rd, 24th, but Ukraine is more than prepared for it. He said that previously Russians were launching more than 100 missiles per day, and now Ukrainian air defense system is getting better and better. That is why he hopes the next attack will be effectively repelled. And pretty much yes, the next week is definitely going to be full of news and events, especially from the Russian side, because of this unexpected and unscheduled announcement of Putin addressed to the nation and to the government, which is set to begin happening on February 21st. And by the way, we will talk about this in a little bit more details very soon. But if you don't want to miss these potentially historical events that are about to happen, just please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel. You can also follow me on Instagram and see how I live outside of YouTube. Alright, and now please allow me to present you just 3 quick news. The first one is that Alexander Lukashenko just named the conditions under which Belarus will join Russia in this war. He basically said that even though at this very moment there are no reasons for Belarus to engage, but in case there is aggression from Ukraine, and in case at least one Belarusian person perishes in this conflict, this is when Belarus will undeniably join the side of Russia. He then also emphasized pretty familiar narrative, is that it is Western countries who are waging this war, and Ukraine was just their pawn. What he meant by that is that everyone is blaming Russia, the savior, but at the same time it is Poland who wants to dismember Ukraine and take its lands. And so yes, if you're also watching this from Poland, let me know if you want to dismember Ukraine. Lukashenko then also added that at this very moment Belarus has 75,000 people in its forces, but in case there is a requirement for mobilization, this number can increase to 500,000 people. But then he said, rest assured, there are no plans to do a mobilization. Which is pretty much exactly the same thing Russia said before they did their own mobilization. And then, suspiciously enough, according to the press secretary of Russia Dmitry Peskov, Putin is planning to meet with Alexander Lukashenko this Friday. What a suspicious timing, right? The news number 2, since we started already talking about Putin, is that during his unexpected announcements he's going to make next week, Moscow will be closing several streets inside city center. This might not seem like nothing, but let me tell you what, as Russian, before every single protest, they were always closing several streets, so that it will be easier to detain those people who will actually go to protest on the streets. And so right now, they're pretty much doing exactly the same. They're preventing the possibility for these marches in advance, and they're trying to distance Putin from his people as far as possible. Which only begs the question, what is this announcement going to be about that the government expects people to rebel? And the news number 3 is that according to Yevgeny Prigozhin, the Ministry of Defense of Russia is doing everything possible to make his private military company have very limited access to ammunition, and at this point pretty much impossibility to receive weapons. And then Prigozhin said that he will personally contact as many people from the government as possible in order to resume these supplies. And then he said, don't be surprised if I'll be arrested for discrediting the Russian army. So it's like pretty much yes, looks like he is warning us in advance that Putin doesn't like to share the power. It's not something that we didn't know, right? In addition to that, the owners of Gazprom, one of the biggest companies of Russia, the closest friends of Putin, they also announced recently about the creation of their own private military company. According to them, for now these people will only be used to protect Gazprom property. But I think we have the potentially another ambitious competitor in the future. But okay, and now let's briefly talk about the situation in the east and south of Ukraine. And first of all, according to the report by the Institute for the Study of War, Russians continue their routine offensive along Svatove-Crimea road, but they were not able to achieve any progress recently. As we go more to the south, an extremely heavy fighting has been reported around Paraskoivivka, but Ukrainians were able to repel these attacks. The attacks of Russians were primarily coming from 3 directions, and one of their main responsibilities was to take this highway under fire control. And just when you thought that resisting these attacks was already heroic enough, reportedly Ukrainian special forces were able to successfully ambush 2 assault groups of Russians and make them flee. But the good news do not end here, because as we go to Bakhmut and specifically to its neighboring settlement Ivanovske, yes, the same one that Russians were trying to capture pretty much for the last week, Ukrainians were able to perform a successful counter-offensive and make Russians victoriously retreat. Because, I mean, just take a look at this map, which shows us the status of occupied territories just several days ago. The next day Ukrainians were able to push Russians further from it, and then several days later they even started running away, as reflected by this red arrow. And while this might not seem like a big deal, in fact this was a very potential option for Russians to encircle and even capture Bakhmut. They just needed this highway so much. And Ukraine, besides repelling Russian attacks, they were also able to perform their own counter-offensive, take the territory back and make Russians run away. And while this might not be the most significant victory of this war, this will most certainly allow Ukrainians to hold Bakhmut a little bit easier, and also, most importantly, improve the morale of the forces, which is, as we already know, plays a huge part in the overall military success. Alright, just a couple more words about the southern territories in Ukraine, and then we'll talk about how Zelensky himself sees the near future of this war. And first of all, as you can see from this picture, this highway between Mariupol and Berdyansk has been spotted full of Russian military trucks, which is just yet another confirmation that even though though Russians already started their offensive, they are preparing to do even more. Next we go to Kherson region, and according to yet unconfirmed reports, some Ukrainians were able to take the ground on the left side of Dnipro river. In addition to that, Ukrainian artillery was able to destroy a Russian military base located in Chaplinka. And then we have several reports about pretty loud noises which were heard in Armyansk, Crimea. But according to the Russian side, they were just doing some military practice. So I'll leave it up to you whether you want to believe it or not. And by the way, recently I received several more intercepted phone calls about Russian soldiers complaining about the losses, panic, and just impenetrable defenses of Ukrainians. And as always, I uploaded them to my Patreon, where there is still 1 week of free access. And if you want to hear them for yourself, the links will be down below. And so yeah, recently President Zelensky gave an interview to the BBC, and this is where he was speaking one of the very first times about this upcoming Russian massive offensive. In fact, he said that this offensive has already begun. Zelensky mentioned that he is confident that Ukraine will be able to resist these attacks all the way until they start receiving the Western military vehicles. And whenever he was asked if Ukraine is prepared to give up some of its territory, or even at least to talk with Putin to have a peaceful negotiations, he said that there is no trust to Putin at all. That is why these conditions are completely impossible. And I mean, just think about it. If the Western countries, they forced Zelensky to give up some of its land in favor of Russia, Russia will feel like that they will be able to do it once again in the future and have absolutely no consequences. It is like the Russian government did something awful, they realized it, and the best case scenario for them will be to leave it as it is and have no punishment, and this is pretty much exactly what is going to happen in case Ukraine surrenders its land. And pretty much yes, where are the guarantees that it will not happen again? That is why it is imperative for Ukraine to finish this war, especially because we already know that the time is on Ukraine's side at this very moment, and they only need to last for at least couple more months. And then, according to the Western intelligence, such as for example the UK Defense Secretary Ben Wallace, Russia will most likely not be able to sustain this offensive because they don't have enough men and firepower. What he meant by that is that Russians will not be able to assemble a massive force to attack across the front lines, because what we see right now, Russians are putting so much effort and human lives just to advance in small settlement Bakhmut. And yet, as you can already see it, they are still unsuccessful. In addition to that, Russia is losing a lot of military vehicles and equipment, and these are not the things which are replenished fast. I mean, yes, Putin can always mobilize more people, and I don't think he'll have a problem to do this, but building tanks takes months. And that is why Ben Wallace once again emphasized the timing nature of the Western deliveries, and it is absolutely critical for Ukraine to receive it as soon as possible. And so, as you can see, the next several weeks and couple of months will be extremely crucial and pivotal in this conflict. And just once again, if you don't want to miss any of this, just please consider subscribing to my channel. It only takes 1 click. And if you want to support my work financially, please consider becoming my channel member, use a PayPal link, or become my Patreon, where there is still 1 week of free access. All the other links can be found to the right and down below. Thank you so much for your attention, товарищи, and see you tomorrow.